it is too late for tears. The calamitous fiend whose fists can fell even the mightiest demons awakens.
Before me you are but ash in the wind. I am Akuma, and I will teach you the meaning of pain.
Welcome to another TEPPEN deck guide. My name is Stout, and today we're focusing on the newest hero, Akuma. He was released with the Force Seekers expansion on January 7th. The hero art we're using is his signature move, the Raging Demon. It's 23 AP to make one Ascension unit ascended. The enemy unit in front of it is then destroyed. I think his other hero arts are viable too, but Raging Demon works best with the new Ascension mechanic, which is something I really wanted to show off. Here's how that works. Ascension units can be played in two ways. The first being played from your hand to an empty board slot like usual. The second is by placing the unit on top of a friendly unit already on your board. That first unit is sacrificed to give the ascended unit more power. Think of it as something similar to tribute summoning from Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm going to show you my version of the deck and talk about a few cards not in this list that are also viable. Second Wind is 1 MP to destroy a friendly unit with the ascended status, then place it on the field again in the same board slot. That unit is no longer ascended, and this won't work if the slot is occupied. Junie is a new unit. She's a 3 MP 2/5 that gives 1 MP when she dies, similar to Zombie just without the revenge. Think of her as a cheap Ascension tribute. Gate is a 3 MP 2/7 that requires a 2 life sacrifice to play, but he can also ascend and get +1/+2. The new Vega is a 4 MP 1/7 with flight. When ascended, he gets to attack. Seth is a 2 cost 4/7 with a conditional effect. If you've ascended 3 or more times during a battle, he sends 1 random enemy unit that costs 4 MP or less to the graveyard. Because the effect isn't guaranteed, we're only running 2 of him. Julie is a 4 cost 2/7. If she ascends, she gains a new effect when she dies. That will return 1 unit with an MP cost of 3 or less from your graveyard to your EX pocket and reduce the MP cost by 2. This is another great way to get a cheap Ascension tribute. G-Adult is the real MVP of this deck. It's a 5 cost 1/9 that spawns a G-Young whenever it takes damage. That G-Young is a 2/2 that deals 1 damage to the enemy hero when it spawns. This is a great way to get cheap Ascension tributes. Double is a 5 cost 1/10 with MP boost 20. It also has growth 5, and at level 2 he gains 2 attack but loses his MP boost. Alexia Ashford is another great Ascension unit. 5 MP for a 3/8 that sacrifices 3 life when played. But when she ascends, she destroys a random enemy unit with an MP cost of 5 or less. This is really powerful. The new M. Bison is a 6 cost 3/5 with combo. When ascended, he gets +1/+3 and deals piercing damage to the enemy in front equal to the number of times friendly black units have ascended during this battle. Don't confuse pierce with heavy pierce. The difference here is that piercing damage is like the trample effect from Magic the Gathering, meaning excess damage dealt to a unit goes to the hero's life total. Betrayal is a card I was really hyped about since it was announced. 6 MP to destroy an enemy unit that costs 6 MP or less. Then any other copy of that card in your opponent's deck is also sent to the graveyard. It's a great removal tool that can eliminate big problems like Iris, Ibuki, and Chill Penguin. Obliterate is here to cover big threats. It's 6 MP to destroy any unit. And Cruel Game is a great way to reset the board. It's a 7 MP action that randomly destroys units on the field until both players have the same number of units. So if you use this when your field is empty, it will destroy all of your opponent's units. A few honorable mentions are Alfred Ashford, Bandersnatch, the legendary Akuma, and Zombie. Consider these cards if some of the ones in my deck just aren't working for you. I've mentioned on Twitter that I think a lot of the new red cards really suit the Metsu Shoryuken, which is a hero art that doesn't get used very often, so here I am in ranked up against Metsu Shoryuken. So right off the bat, we have Junie in our hand, which is able to set up for some MP boost, some ramp, or we can use the G-Adult, which will get us a cheap Ascension, which is what we opt to do here because we have Alexia Ashford in hand, who will be great for getting rid of this Chill Penguin. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait to get a G-Young, and then as you will see, Alexia Ashford dropped in the top lane, and she does target that Chill Penguin. It's gone. So the other unit that's been played, it has flight, rush, and agility. It's one of the newer units, can really deal a lot of damage. It's perfect for Metsu Shoryuken for getting combo. So at this moment, we're just waiting for an opportunity to get rid of it. Now we have 2 betrayals in hand, so we have options, and this is actually perfect because he ascends into Magma Dragoon, which is a really great red legendary. We are immediately going to betrayal this. Ryu doesn't really have any options to counter it, so all of his MP is gone, and he doesn't have an opportunity to give Metsu Shoryuken to anything. So while we are low on MP, we're in okay shape. We're getting closer to Raging Demon, and out comes the Ed, which gets rid of the Alexia Ashford, but that's not a big deal because we've got plenty of units to play. We've got 2 Junies in hand for extra MP generation. If the G Adult gets pinged, it will generate more G Young. So out comes Blade, which is one of the other stronger red units. It has agility. It's a great target for Metsu Shoryuken because it gains combo. So right now my plan is I'm going to play this M. Bison raw, and then we're going to use Raging Demon to ascend it and destroy the unit in front of it. So not only do we get this super powerful M. Bison with combo, we also clear the Blade, which is a big threat, and as you can see, we are actually at a life deficit here. So out comes Goken, which is kind of an anti-Ascension unit, but we drew into Alexia Ashford, so we are just going to clear that G Adult and get rid of that. So he's got an open lane so we can sit here and deal some solid damage. Now we are low on life, and out comes the BB Hood to do a little bit of damage, but we're still doing okay, and we've got plenty of options in hand. So we opt to ascend for the Julie, which could give us another cheaper Ascension unit if we need to. So he is low on life, just waiting for that final strike. BB Hood comes out, dealing, trading blows there with the Julie, but that's okay because we still have plenty of options in our hand, including another Junie, which comes out, and we're immediately going to ascend into the gate. Now, it probably would have been better to ascend on the Julie, which was already weak, but we didn't do that here, but it's okay because even though he throws out another BB Hood, it's not really going to matter because there's so much pressure on our side of the board, he can't really recover. So while this match was close, this is really the way you need to handle Ryu. You've got to get an early lead on him before he can get ahead of you. Jill is one of those explosive heroes, although she didn't really get a lot of new tools from the expansion, as Jill expert Mallet Moogle will tell you, shoutouts to him. But she can still be scary because of antibody activation being so cheap. So right out the gate, we have a decent starting hand, especially with the G Adult, which is great for getting cheap Ascension units out there, and we have some good choices to ascend with in the form of Bison, Vega, and Alexia Ashford. Alexia being an incredibly strong card. So out comes the legendary Rathalos. It's an old card. We can't target that with Alexia Ashford because it just costs too much MP. So at this point, the best option is to ascend to the Vega so these guys can trade hits, making that Rathalos a little less scary. So out comes Zeku on the bottom, but we're not really worried about that because that actually is in range of Alexia Ashford. And you'll see here, he's making that an even better and easier decision for us because he's beefing up that Zeku. So all I'm thinking in my head at this point in the game is I'm going to drop Alexia Ashford and I'm going to pop that Zeku, even though he is using Brought to Light to get to his Explore threshold. So he does that, Rathalos comes out, and a lot happens, but what remains is Alexia Ashford having cleared his side of the board. And we're still in good shape. We drew into Junie for some extra MP generation, which is what we choose to throw down there. We have 2 more Alexia Ashfords in hand, and Bison if we need it, and Vega. So Bishinryu Awakening coming out to get extra detonations. So what I'm going to choose to do here, and what you'll see, is I'm anticipating a detonation on more than likely the Alexia Ashford, which is what he chooses to do. But we have a great answer in that by targeting it with this action card. What it will do is it will actually destroy it and reset the Ascension status. So what we basically just did was we just removed its target completely. So the detonation doesn't end up doing anything. And then the second Alexia Ashford comes out to clear that guile away. While he does have antibody activation on deck, we also have a lot of really great tools. So the set and detonate comes out. We're not really going to worry about it all that much because one thing I do want to point out, this Alexia is not ascended. So what we're waiting for is if we activate Raging Demon on Alexia Ashford, she can potentially clear 2 units at once, instant destruction, nothing you can do about it. So that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for a big threat to come down, and as you can see, the MP starts building up. Now, when I hit maximum MP of 10, I should have just played the G-Adult right away and just let it rip, because at this point I'm wasting MP. But what you're kind of seeing here is that this Jill has kind of given up. Just being in such a rough situation and knowing more destruction is on deck. So the Jill actually just kind of doesn't play anything, loses that match there. The mirror match. It's something you're going to run into a lot because despite Akuma's relative problems with some of the more powerful decks in the meta right now, Akuma's really popular because he's Akuma. So we draw into some decent options to start. We've got double for MP boost, and we have Junie who gives MP when she dies. So we're going to choose to go with the double because he's beefy. Going to throw him out right away. We want to be having as much MP boost as we can so we can be ahead of the curve. He plays G-Adult first, which is a fantastic choice for an Akuma player, as we've mentioned in the past 2 games. So he's going to be getting some free Ascension fodder, and you'll see he gives us the Alexia Ashford treatment. But Double's still out doing his job, so we're going to throw the other Double out, which unfortunately removes the MP boost from the one in the middle, but we're still gaining MP. So in terms of MP, we're ahead of the curve at this point. And we've got some good options. So Alexia Ashford pinging us up top for 3. Double's going to clear out that last G, or so we thought, until M. Bison comes out. Now, my intention was to ascend with the gate, but as you can see, I was a second too late, so we ended up getting the raw gate, which is not nearly as good. A bit of a bummer there. So we're going to use Betrayal on this Alexia Ashford because Alexia Ashford being so powerful, I don't want this unit to be popping everything that I put on the board. So he counters with an action that's going to beef up his Bison, but ultimately is not really going to do much to us. But we got rid of a big threat there with Betrayal, which is exactly what it's supposed to do. So now we're just waiting for an opportunity to throw down a Vega, Raging Demon because it's not ascended. The Ascension comes out, the ascended M. Bison is gone, clearing the way for us to deal some damage. So while we're at a life deficit, we're still okay. So Betrayal comes out, but that doesn't really matter because all we have to do is, again, destroy it, reset the Ascension, put it back on the board, removes the target, and as you'll see, the Betrayal effect doesn't even go off. So all of the remaining Vegas in our deck, well, if they were in our deck, they're actually in our hand right now, but those Vegas are going to stay with us. So that's a great way to reset targeting, get yourself out of sticky situations. He's got Raging Demon on deck, which is scary, but we've also got plenty of tools. We have a Seth here who hasn't quite hit the Ascension threshold. We've got G-Adult, who generates tons and tons of Ascension fodder, and 2 Vegas who swing for a lot of damage. So the G-Adult's going to come out on top to hopefully start generating some fodder for us. And now we're just waiting to see what happens. A Seth without the effect comes out from his side of the board. He was probably in a situation where he didn't have a better unit to play, which is unfortunate, but we're going to deal with it. So Murderous Hands comes out, which in my opinion is actually a pretty decent card. -2 HP to give -2 to 2 random units. Doesn't really hurt us all that much. So we get rid of the double on the bottom, ascend into a second Vega so we can start doing more damage. Again, Raging Demon is still on deck, but he doesn't have a target for it because Bandersnatch and Seth are not Ascension units. So again, another Murderous Hands comes out, but it's not really anything we need to sweat because we've got enough Ascension units in our hand to reset some of our weaker units, which is exactly what we do with Gate there on the bottom. We have our other Vega in hand, and we've got a Betrayal in case something big comes out. And you'll notice his life total is low. We've been chipping away at him very slowly, even that unascended Vega doing some work here. So we deal 1 more damage there. The Gate trading blows with this G-Adult, but not really getting the proper amount of G Young from it. So again, we're just chipping away. And another Alexia Ashford comes out that we drew into to clear. But he's going to do the same thing that we've been doing to him, which is the raw ascended unit into Raging Demon. But at this point, it doesn't matter. There's too much damage on the board, and we win the mirror match here. A little close if you'll notice the life totals. Buckle up, boys. This is the longest match of the entire deck guide, and that is because it is up against, in my opinion and many others, the strongest deck in the meta right now, and it's by a large margin. We're going up against Yohan. So this is hard, and I'll tell you why, because Akuma just does not generate MP fast enough to keep up with the green units, and green got a lot of really good ascended units, as we'll see. So we're going to do our best to try to keep pace. So we throw out double first, and then the Iris comes out, which is which is great for him. We do have Alexia Ashford, and we do want to do our best to curb any MP gain from him that we can. So Alexia Ashford comes out to clear that double. We drew into another double in case we need it, and gets rid of that Iris. So out comes Arya, which has the Chimera Tech armor when she dies, an Explore card from Day of Nightmares. And then out comes Hoitzel, which is the new Ascended tank unit, which is absolutely ridiculous. And at this point in my head, I'm thinking this thing has got to go, because it's going to chew through my health if I don't find some way to stop it. Now, luckily, we're getting close to a Raging Demon here. We don't have Betrayal to get rid of it, unfortunately, so G-Adult is the best bet because he can actually tank one hit, generate an Ascension target for us, and still live. So that is what we choose to do here. So now we're just waiting for the G-Adult to die, so we can put an unascended unit down, ascend into something for the Raging Demon, and get rid of that tank. Arengera is down on the bottom, which is another potentially scary unit that gets a lot of stats from victory, and it's got spillover. So that's another threat we're going to have to deal with. And as you'll see, this Yohan Lee player has 9 MP at the point where we have 5. Just running away with the ramp just from how strong Yohan is and how it's so versatile. So now we're looking for ways that we can get rid of that thing, and Alexia Ashford is perfect for it. So right now we have unit advantage, but that doesn't mean anything because we've only got a small amount of MP and he has tons. So Call to Battle comes out, which cheapens up a unit and puts it in his EX pocket. So something scary is going to be coming. Evasive Action comes out to reset the stats of the Vega. It's unfortunate, but it's, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world. Alexia's stats couldn't be reset because she doesn't get bonus stats from Ascension. And then out comes big, scary Rainy Turt Lloyd up top, which is a terrifying unit to be up against because of its high stats and its spillover. So we're going to Alexia Ashford again to get rid of that turtle because we don't even want to deal with it if we can avoid it somehow. Out comes Brachiodos. I don't remember the exact name, but it's kind of a green Tigrex just with less health. So it's got spillover. It's going to be doing some damage. It clears one Alexia, but we keep the other one. But as you can see, he's got tons of MP, and out comes another Orangera that we're going to have to deal with. So we have a decent chunk of MP, but we are behind at this point in time. And out comes Rainy Tort Lloyd just as we ascend into Gate, which is going to deal more damage than we can, especially with the spillover. He's got Yohan on deck. This is a problem. So G-Adult is the best choice here, in my opinion, just so we can get some more Ascension targets, which is what we need. And the problem is we're not really drawing into anything that's going to give us tons and tons and tons of Ascension value. We have Bison, and that's okay, but luckily we have Obliterate. So now we have to figure out what we're going to use this Obliterate on, because the Diablos is scary, but it's not dealing a ton of damage. So he is trying to bring back his Rainy Turtwood, play it again, and I think this might be a safe chance to obliterate the Diablos, get rid of a threat that could snowball out of control. But he's got Gold Orb, just enough MP for Gold Orb, which is going to reset the situation, bring his unit back. So we actually come out really behind there. But we do have Raging Demon, and we do have units that are unascended that we can drop and get free destruction. So that's what we're looking for at this point. So the decision here to ascend with the Gate was probably not the best choice. Probably should have played something raw with the timing and then used Raging Demon so he doesn't get this Yawn off on this Diablos. But, you know, it is what it is. This game is full of mistakes on my part for sure. Out comes another Arya with Chimera Tech, and this is when we choose to do the Bison with the Raging Demon to get rid of it. In hindsight, not a great decision because he just plays another one and he's getting tons of Chimera Techs to beef up a unit, which you're going to see here in just a second. So I don't think I used my Raging Demon there very effectively, and out comes the legendary Karine, which is incredibly scary for a multitude of reasons. Go look up that card. If you got that card and pulling your packs, congratulations, because she's a monster. And now we're just struggling to keep up with her because that Karine is going to chew through that Bison, seals up that Junie so we don't get the bonus MP, which is really unfortunate. Ascend into Vega to try to do what we can to chip her out, but out comes Disarm, so that Vega's not going to be flying anymore. But we do reset the situation. Vega's going to be a lot weaker, but we'll still be flying. Just trying to do what we can to chip out because we're not really going to get any other opportunities to use those cards this late in the game. Now, we are close to a Raging Demon. We just have to put something down to get that Raging Demon out. So out comes the Yohan. What we should have done is we should have hung on for a little bit longer and found a way to reach our MP threshold to get rid of that cutting. And then out comes another Hoitzel, and this game is basically as good as done. I can throw out defenders with the Raging Demon to get rid of the tank. But just, it's just putting a band-aid on a gushing wound at this point. I'm not going to survive. So this 2 damage, I am barely, I could have blocked it, but I opt to wait just a minute to play a unit with a little more value. The middle unit there gets sealed again from the other ZZ. We throw out our Junie to try to get some bonus ramp, but he's got Yohan to go on his middle ZZ, which is about to die. So he's got way more MP than we do. And while the HP totals here are close, several mistakes on my part just lead to an insurmountable amount of obstacles, something that you just can't recover from. Yohan is really, really strong. It's the strongest deck in the meta right now. It's even better than Resonate Purple, although Resonate Purple is very strong. So the match continues drawing really, really long. Leader summons coming out to fill his board with more units. He's got spillover from the middle unit, so we're just in really rough shape here, trying to find ways to block. And unfortunately here, if I play gate, I lose anyway because I have to sacrifice a certain amount of health. So the game was really over there. A really, really close one. Yohan is going to be a difficult matchup for Akuma. At the end of the day, Akuma is a lot of fun. His destructive effects feel really satisfying to land. He feels like a breath of fresh air to me. And I'm really glad he's in TEPPEN, and I'm glad we have the Force Seekers here to shake up the meta a little bit. I do want to add that his toughest matchups by far are Resonate Purple, no surprise there, and Yohan, the latter being a really difficult mountain to climb. But don't let that discourage you from experimenting with Akuma. Keep playing with him. I know I'm not done with him either. And before I go, I just wanted to say a word of thanks to everybody who has reached out over Twitter, Discord, and even here on YouTube. All you guys wanting to talk about the game and sending me messages of support. It's overwhelming, and it makes me feel really happy to know that you guys are getting something out of the videos that I'm putting out. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate you guys. Keep being awesome people. Until the next video, see you next time.